ask them, like, where do you feel that in your body? And they're like, what are you asking me? What does that even mean?
Bringing all of those pieces together is what makes us healthier and more well.
The pain that I've had in my back or in my chest or in my stomach has been coming from all of the ways that I've been doing life. Taking care of our minds is just as essential as taking care of our bodies. Hey everyone, welcome to the Inner Solace Mini Series. My name is Valerie Rivera and I'm a licensed clinical social worker and supervisor in the state of Texas. I am also the owner of Inner Solace Therapy. As you may have seen, we are launching a brand new service at our practice, intensives for individuals and couples. This new service is the only therapy program in the RGV that will teach you how to manage your day-to-day distress so you can learn to combat or tackle your triggers in 3 days or less. And because we're launching intensives, we have a very special guest joining us today to shed some light in the field of mental health and holistic well-being. She brings a wealth of knowledge and her work is centered around helping individuals understand the intricate relationship between the mind and the body and how this understanding can lead to healthier, more balanced lives. Please welcome Jena Harris. Hey, Jena.
Hey, Valerie.
How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Kind of chaotic with a 10-month-old, but trying to stay balanced and grounded, which, speaking of, something that I like to start with whenever I'm going to speak or like I have a speaking engagement is get grounded with some Palo Santo or some essential oils. So I brought this little spray, if you don't mind, if I can just spray it around. So it's Palo Santo and I believe it's lavender. So I'm just going to spritz it around us. It's going to cleanse our space, cleanse ourselves, and bring us to this present space.
Can it cleanse my soul?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what,
Okay,
that's what Palo Santo has been used for in ancient civilizations, ancient times. So
I love that.
what I really like about it too is that there's a science behind it. So almost everything that our ancestors have been using, for decades and centuries, is that there's a scientific basis to it. So the molecules of Palo Santo actually help to reduce anxiety. So they were onto something.
I'm going to breathe that in for a little bit because it really just helps me kind of get centered, right? It helps just me stabilize a little bit more.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love it. Okay, well, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So I met you when did I initially meet you? I think I stalked you for a while, I think I joke about that, but I'm really not joking. I think I followed your Facebook, your Instagram page for a long time, right? And I think it takes me a little bit to kind of become familiar with people's work before I want to utilize their services, right? And when I followed you from the very beginning, I knew you were just a person for me to figure out how to connect my own mind and my own body, right? Because as a therapist, I hear a lot of hard stories and my own body can also become very dysregulated. And so I think for a while, I myself was going through some burnout, and hearing story after story and not taking care of myself. So, when I started following you, I think during that time, you were starting your own coaching program, right? And I was one of your clients. And so we worked together in that way to help me exercise, create an exercise regimen, to create a better healthy eating habit or habits. And one of the things that I really appreciate about you is how you do connect mind and body. So tell me a little bit about what your perspective is as a professional, but also like in your own personal journey, right? How have you learned to connect that for yourself?
Yeah, so I want to start with the personal side of it because it really leads into how I became passionate about helping others. And really what happened is I was so focused on just the physical aspect of my well-being. And I was working out a lot, I was dieting, and just taking care of one dimension of myself. And it led to burnout, and it led to me feeling lackluster. I didn't have that vitality, that zest for life that I have today. And so I really took it upon myself to heal myself. I was aware that I wasn't passionate about really anything, and I my thoughts were manifesting in a way that didn't feel good in my body.
Right.
And so I started to heal myself, and in the process I started to feel really good, and I wanted to help others. And so that's when I started to coach other clients. And I think what I realized along the way is how multidimensional we are, and that's actually what wellness is. It is the active pursuit in engaging in choices, in lifestyle that leads to a healthier, more well-rounded version of who you are.
Absolutely. Everything is interconnected, right? The slogan of Inner Solace Therapy is mind, body, wellness. Because when you have one part of you that is not functioning as well as it can be, it's going to be a domino effect, right? A ripple effect of how things are going to start to dwindle for you.
Yeah.
So when we think about how our mind works, right? We think about the thoughts that come forward. It's going to impact the way that we feel, the way that we behave, and it's going to most likely have or create physical reactions within us, right? So a lot of the times when I work with individuals, I ask them, like, where do you feel that in your body? And they're like, what are you asking me? What does that even mean, right? And it's like, okay, let's just kind of take a moment. Let's do a body scan, and let's just figure out like what's coming forward. And it's in that moment that they recognize, I didn't know that, the pain that I've had in my back or in my chest or in my stomach has been coming from all of the ways that I've been doing life, right? So for you, when you talk about like that connection that you've learned, right? How difficult is it once you learn how to manage mind and body? How difficult is it for you to get back on track when life happens?
It becomes easier once you create a solid foundation and you create a baseline to go back to. So it is hard in the beginning because everything is disconnected. And I think that's the important thing to remember when it comes to wellness, is that everything should be interconnected. But because we live very fragmented lives and we're focused on only the physical, or some people focus on only the mental, only the emotional. And so bringing all of those pieces together is what makes us healthier and more well. So once we create a baseline for ourselves to go back to, it becomes a lot easier. And so I think it's important to develop a strategy for yourself as a way to come back every single time. Because I was just telling you before we started airing, is that my husband's been gone for a week. I've been with my 10-month-old by myself. And so I haven't really had a routine. I've had pieces of the routine, but it hasn't been picture perfect. But I wasn't stressed out about it. I wasn't upset at myself because I know how to come back to it.
Yes, it's about releasing some expectations when things don't necessarily flow in the way that you want them to, right? But also knowing that you've created such a strong foundation that you can always go back to that.
Well, so for example, this morning, now that he's back, I took
You're
time.
like, here's baby, bye.
Exactly. No, I took a little bit of time this morning to pray, to meditate. I did all of my little routines. I did some oil pulling. I took a cold shower.
I don't know what oil pulling is, so you'll have to tell me about that
will.
later.
It's awesome. But I did all the little things that helped me come back to my center, that helped me to slow down, and that helped me to be present. Because in the silence, in the presence is where wellness, that's the foundation of wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I work with individuals, some of the things that they say is, I don't know how to do all of the things that you just mentioned. I don't know how to do any of that, right? I don't know how to self-regulate. I don't know how to breathe. I don't know how to do all of those things. And what I tell them is that because you've been used to living here in this chaotic space, right? And my goal is to teach you how to start bringing yourself down so that if you ever do get into that chaotic space again, you come back down a lot faster, right? A lot quicker.
Right.
And so that's essentially what you're saying. It's a process. You have to learn how to do it. It's a skill set.
And the other thing is that there are so many tools out there, and I think people feel overwhelmed with everything that's out there, that they feel like, okay, if I'm not doing 10 self-care rituals every single day, I'm not doing wellness.
Right.
And that's not true. You know, I have a tool belt of so many different things, and I pull them out depending on what I need. But you don't know what you need if you have chaos. So the first step is just getting silent and asking your body, what do I need? What is going to help me in this situation? And if you take the time to listen to yourself, the answer will come.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you said that, because that's one of the ways that I teach my clients to do this, right? Is that initially it's after we finish a heavy session, right? And all sessions, you know, can be heavy in their own way, but when I'm terminating a session, I always ask, like, what are you going to do the rest of today, right? And just depending on what they say, I always come back to, what do you need right now when you leave the session, right? Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? Are you sleepy? Because those are the things that your body is literally communicating to you, right? They're saying, like, I need this in order to continue to function for you. So yes, general question to ask yourself, what do I need right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I did a meditation the other day, and all of this stuff was rising to the surface. So meditation is just getting silent. And I was asking, the question that I went into the meditation with was, what do I need to be more vibrant? Because I was feeling a little bit blah. And so what came to me is, I need to do some liver detoxing. I need some more prayer. Some more prayer in my life. I need to get back to my meditations. And so all of these answers were coming to me, but I had to get quiet first.
Right. Yeah. So, well, one of the new services that I'm offering, right, like I mentioned before, is intensive therapy for individuals. And what that looks like, there's a difference between intensives for individuals and your traditional therapy. Traditional therapy is, I do 45 minutes, right? 45 minutes, it could be weekly, bi-weekly, just depending on where you are. But intensives is two different things. One, it's frequency, and it's duration. So what that looks like is, I can work with an individual for more than 45 minutes. Usually it's up to it's beginning with 3 hours, right? So 3 hours at a time. And then we get to decide, are we gonna do it for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, right? We create a whole treatment around that. And the reason for that is because if you are not living a life that has a foundation for you, then you're not going to be able to process any of the things that you're coming in with, right? I need to be able to sit down and teach you how to do that. Absolutely. Right? So intensives can be, you know, like I said, 3 hours at a time, and we're not just sitting there breathing the whole time, right? I mean, we're doing different things, but I'm basically resourcing you. I like to say that I'm resourcing you with the tools that you need to live your day-to-day life. So also then when you come back, we can do like that hard work, you know?
That's awesome.
So think about intensive therapy and how that may benefit you, right? Or anybody in general, when we think about somebody not having a solid foundation. You know, what would it be like to go into a therapist's office and sit there for 3 hours and just like have all the focus on you and like, let's just sit there and let's learn, right?
Love that.
Yeah. Like what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's amazing, because when you're new to something, or you really need like an overhaul, the frequency is really important if you want to create habits. So if you want this to become habitual, part of your everyday life, you really need to be fire hosed with all of the information, and having that attention that you're giving me or giving your client is going to be so valuable. How exciting. It's almost like a retreat.
Yes, that is exactly what I want it to be like for clients, right? You come in, you sit, and you have the space all to yourself, right? And we do the things that you want to do on your time. It's not on my time, it's on your time, right? We have this amount of time that we get to focus in on what you are needing, because a lot of the clients that I work with, right, like they're high functioning individuals that are mothers, that are entrepreneurs, that are leaders in, you know, the community. They have a busy life, and it's very hard for them to really sit down and just focus on themselves, right? So
yeah, you know, the other thing I'm thinking about is no, you don't even need to be fire hosed. Let me back up. Regardless of where you are starting, there's always room to grow. So I'm thinking, like, even myself, that I already have a solid foundation of what it means to be well. There's always room for growth, because that's the cool thing about wellness, is it is a never ending. Like, you're never going to reach the pinnacle. There's always something to work on, and there's so many pillars that fall under wellness, that there's something to work on. I mean, there's the physical, the mental, the emotional, the social, the environmental, the financial. I mean, it's everything in one. So that is so amazing that you're offering that.
Yes.
And when can I sign up?
Well, it's a great opportunity for people to just say, you know what, like today it's going to be about me. So one of the times that I haven't offered intensives to the general public, I'm starting to do that now, that I have been offering it to my current clients. And one of the clients that I did it with, I was like, look, you're going to come in sweats. Don't come dressed up. Come in sweats. Come in as you want to be. Client came in, sat Indian style on my sofa. I got them some shakes from Shake Express. Shout out to Shake Express for supporting. So got them some shakes from Shake Express. It was a whole thing, and I said, and after, go and do something nice for yourself, right? And they said, you know what, I'm gonna need something for my body. I know I'm gonna feel it in my body, and they did. They went to go get a massage afterwards. It was like a whole day retreat for them. And it was beautiful because then after we talked, they said it was something that I had never experienced. I was very nervous going into it, but it was something that I never experienced where the attention was just about me and my mental well-being, Obviously, the 45 minutes, 60 minutes that I do with clients, it almost feels kind of like,
Rushed.
okay, let's rush it, and then like, let's close it and let's pick up the next time. And that's the difference here is that intensives, we don't have to, pick up anywhere. We just kind of go with it.
Consolidate.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I love it.
yeah. Well, tell me, about grounding for you. You mentioned all of the different things that you do, right? But maybe if you can introduce us to one of your favorites or something that is going to just bring you back to a solid state of well-being. Like, what could you tell us about that?
Speaking of grounding, before we started, I was like, can I have something for my feet? Because
short people problems.
Yeah, because my feet were dangling. But I mean, it's connecting with the earth. Even though I'm not touching the ground, I feel connected to earth. And it's so important because I heard something really interesting the other day. It was, we are not... we are nature. A lot of people think that we're connected to nature. No, you are nature. You are evolving. Every single molecule of you is the same as the molecule in the grass and the flowers, in the sky, in the air. And so it is so important to honor that, to nurture that. And so one of the ways that I like to stay grounded is by taking off my shoes, taking off my socks, walking through the grass, planting my feet. I like to put my fingertips down and just close my eyes and inhale the fresh air as the sun comes down on me, just like connecting in all of those ways through the light, through the earth, and just absorbing all of that. It really, and the other thing is inhaling so that you remember where you are, coming to this present moment.
Yeah.
It really, really helps me to get centered.
Yes. Okay. So you just connected all sorts of things right there, right? The mind, quieting the mind, the body being able to connect it to the mind, but also to your external, right? Because we live in such a fast-paced world that it is so hard for us to really just center ourselves with, I would say, nothingness, right? Like just clearness. And so I love it. And then the breathing, right? It helps regulate your internal system. And what regulate means is really just bring it back to a state of balance. So I love it. My favorite time to do that is in the fall when it starts to, get a little warm, a little cooler. And it's just my favorite grounding exercise. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Jena, for sharing your wisdom and insights with us. And of course, a big thank you to all of our listeners for joining us on this journey of exploration and growth. Stay tuned for more enlightening conversations. And remember, your mental health is a priority worth investing in. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.